If you have ever watched a child you once carried in your arms, all of a sudden, turn into a stranger in your own home, then you will understand this story. What would you do if your son looked you in the eyes and say, "Don't yell at me, Dad. You are invading my privacy. You need to stop that or I'll call 911. In your own house." What would you do if the very system meant to protect children became the shield they hide behind while disrespect grows like wildfire? This is not just Jason's story. This is the story of two worlds colliding. And before this narration ends, you may find yourself asking the same question that shook my family to its core. Who is to be blamed for this pain? Jason Adesina was a bright, energetic African-American high school boy growing up in the United States. Tall for his age, confident, sharp-tongued, and quick with comebacks, he was the kind of teenager teachers either saw as full of potential or heading for trouble. At home, however, things were not the same. Mr. Adesina, his father. Yes, that is me. Standing over there. Confused here. But I was not raised in America like my son. I was raised in Ilero Town, a small town in Ogun State, in the southern part of Nigeria, a town where discipline was not a suggestion. It was a way of life. Where I come from, a child prostrates flat on the floor to greet elders. You don't look your father in the eyes and argue. You don't slam doors. You don't talk back. You don't question instructions. You just obey. And if you don't, the cane comes calling. Yes. The cane. A symbol of discipline takes care of the rest. Growing up, the cane was not decoration. It was not symbolic. It was active. It had purpose. It had authority. If my father calls your name and you did not respond the first time, it simply means you have grown wings and will need to be chopped off immediately. The cane would be lifted from its resting place, and suddenly, your hearing would improve. We feared the cane growing up. But more importantly, we respected what it stood for. Discipline. Structure. Consequence. My father would flog me when I misbehaved. But here is what many people misunderstand: it was never rage. It was never hatred. Instead, it was correction. And later that night, he would enter my room, sit beside me, and explain why I was punished. He would correct me. He would make peace. He would ensure I understood. And that is how character was built from where I came from. But America is not a Ilero town. Here in America, Jason does not even know the meaning of cane. Here in America, teenagers raise their voices at their parents and call it expressing themselves. Here in America, a child can threaten to call the police on his own father or mother for taking away his phone. And Jason, my son, was becoming a product of that system. It started subtly. A change in tone. A new group of friends. Music that blasted through the walls of our house. Slang that dripped from his mouth like he was rehearsing for a rap battle every day. His grades began to slip. Phone glued to his hand. Eyes glued to the screen. Respect, slowly evaporating. One evening, when I corrected him for coming home late, he looked me straight in the eye and said, "You can't tell me what to do with my life." I lost it. And he said, "You can't hit me either. That is abuse." The room went cold on me. My wife looked at me. I looked at her. In that moment, I realized something painful. The rod is getting spared. And my boy was drifting. I overheard one night when his friends were chit-chatting how they used to laugh at teachers in class. Skipped classes. How they are eager to get on the fast lane to make fast money. These conversations hit my heart uneasy. Social media has filled their heads with rebellion. The streets whispered louder than their parents' words. We tried talking. We tried grounding. We tried limiting screen time. But the more we pushed, the more he resisted. It felt like losing grip on sand. Then, after his second-term exams, which were disappointing, to say the least, I decided to give my recent thoughts a try. One evening, I sat Jason down. "Have I ever told you about a Ilero town in Nigeria?" I asked him. He shrugged a little. So I sold it to him. I told him about the red earth roads. About mango trees heavy with ripe natural fruits. About the laughter that spills from compounds in the evening. About how his grandma would cook enough food to feed an army. About how neighbors greet like family. I painted the picture carefully and perfectly. And for the first time in months, I saw curiosity in his eyes. You mean like, the village and stuff, he asked. Yes, I said. And more. By the end of that week, he was excited. He fantasized about Africa like it was an adventure movie waiting to happen. New place. New experience. Grandma. Freedom from low school grades pressure and all that. He could not wait. And so, the summer came, and Jason boarded a plane. The moment he stepped out of the airport in Lagos, Nigeria, he was overwhelmed, but in a good way. The air was warmer. The greetings louder. The smiles wider. Family members he had never met hugged him like they had known him forever. Welcome to Motherland, they said. He laughed. He enjoyed it. Grandma cried when she saw him for the first time. My grandson, she exclaimed, holding his face in her hands. For the first few days, everything was sweet. Food. Stories. Laughter. Cousins. Late evenings under the open sky. But culture shock does not knock politely. It announces itself. The first incident happened just few days after his arrival. Jason woke up early that beautiful morning, walked into the living room where Grandma was seated, and casually strode past her without greeting. In Yoruba land, that is an offense. A big offense. Grandma looked at him. She said nothing. Maybe he is still trying to adapt, she thought. The next day, it happened again. No greeting. No prostration. No acknowledgement. Just a casual "Hi, Grandma." Like he was speaking to one of his classmates in America. Grandma's eyes narrowed slightly. Wondering. Then came the music. Jason locked himself in his room one day and was blasting loud music for hours. The walls vibrated. The windows trembled. In America, that might earn you a complaint. But in Grandma's house, it earned you a visit. So Grandma walked straight to his door and walked in without knocking. Jason jumped up in shock. Grandma. You're supposed to knock. Grandma froze. Knock, she repeated slowly. Yes. That's my privacy. Jason replied her. Grandma looked around the room. In my house, she asked calmly. And in that moment, she understood. The rod had been spared in America. That evening, Grandma put a call across to me in America. And I let out all the pain I'm feeling in my heart concerning Jason. I can't control many things over here. I'm losing grip of my son. Mr. Adesina laments to Grandma. My son, Grandma said gently, don't worry, I will see what I can do. The next morning, Grandma called Jason to sit with her outside. Under the shade of the mango tree. And Jason sat reluctantly. Grandma began softly. Do you know why your father is the way he is? Jason shrugged. Because he feared your grandfather. Grandma did not smile saying that. She told him about her own upbringing. About how her father would discipline her with cane anytime she misbehaved. About how she would cry all day. But later that night, her father would sit beside her bed, stroke her hair, and explain why he flogged her. He never allowed anger to sleep in the house. She said. He never punished without explanation. She explained that discipline in Africa is not about violence. It is about molding. Shaping. Protecting a child from becoming a danger to himself. The cane is not hatred. She said. It is responsibility. Jason listened. For the first time, he was not defensive. She told him how respect is passed from generation to generation. How greeting elders is not overburden, but humility. How structure builds strength. How boundaries protect freedom. She looked at him carefully and said, "Freedom without discipline becomes destruction." That sentence stayed in the air for a while and sank into Jason. Over the next few weeks, things changed slowly. Jason was taught how to greet properly. The first time he prostrated before Grandma. Awkward and unsure. The entire room clapped playfully. He laughed too. Embarrassed. But something shifted. He began waking up earlier. He joined his cousins in house chores. He listened to stories of family history. He saw how community corrected children collectively. Not cruelly, but family. One evening, he sat quietly beside Grandma. "I think I understand that now," he said softly. "Thank you, Grandma." Jason hugged Grandma with emotions running all over his face. When it was time to return to America, Jason was not the same boy that arrived Lagos few months back. At the airport, he hugged Grandma tightly. "Thank you," he whispered. When he returned back to America, the first thing he did shocked us. He walked up to his mother. "I'm sorry for all the disappointments," he said. "Please forgive me." Then he turned to me. "I get it now, Dad." He nodded and smiled at me. And I returned the smile, with emotions and goosebumps running all over me. This is my son I once known. I can feel the change as I hugged him tightly, not letting go of him. Yet, no cane was lifted. No threats were made. But something had been restored. Respect. Understanding. Balance. So now I ask, when a teenager becomes disrespectful and reckless, who is to blame? Parents do all they can. But society is loud. The internet is louder. Schools, television, music, social media. They all shape the minds of our children. What they see, what they hear, what they celebrate. The Gen Z generation is growing up in a world where rebellion is marketed as strength and correction is labeled oppression. They are perhaps the spared rod. But the answer is not just the cane. Perhaps it is intentional parenting, cultural grounding, conversation after correction, love after discipline. Jason's vacation became more than a trip. It became a turning point. And maybe, just maybe, this story is not just about Jason. Maybe it is about all of us. If you were once disciplined with the cane and it shaped you into who you are today, let us know in the comment section. Was it abuse? Or was it protection? And remember, culture may travel across oceans, but if you don't preserve it, it disappears within one generation. Please, if you like stories such as this, hit the like button, share and subscribe to our channel for more wonderful stories. Thank you for watching.